It's good to be back. Am I hot? I'm a little. Of course I'm hot. Hot in sound and hot in visuals. Ladies and gentlemen, the American people have spoken. And they've spoken loudly. Hang on, I gotta fix some stuff here. The win yesterday, and it was a landslide, let's be clear. That landslide was not just for a candidate. That landslide is a rebuke of everything woke. It's a rebuke of a mindset. It's saying, we don't care about you. And I love it. We don't care about you. You being the progressive woke left. There's two reasons why Trump won. Maybe 2.5. And people are thinking, economy? No, that's not the real reason. Immigration and the woke nonsense. And I need to thank all the trans activists out there. Trump should go on camera and thank the trans activists for getting him elected. Trump should go on in front of the camera and thank the Department of Justice for indicting him. The American people said, we're sick of this. And won by a landslide. Arizona hasn't come in, my state, but it's going to go for Trump. Nevada's even probably going to go for Trump. Every freaking swing state has spoken. And get this. The popular vote is going for Trump. If you're a woke, progressive, leftist, you ought to cry. Please do. This is a rebuke of everything you believe in. The American people says, we don't like you. It's the truth. They don't. You're relentless lecturing to us. You're fear-mongering. Fascist, dictator. You helped Trump win. And then, of course, you got the incompetence of the Biden-Harris administration on immigration. People saw through that. You're letting in poor, financially dependent, government-dependent people into the country, moving them to places like Ohio, doing weird loophole stuff to try to get them, technically legal, so that 10 years down the road, they will pay you back with votes. People saw through that. People saw through that, yeah, we're a great country. We ought to be picky who we let in. We should let in the best, the brightest, the healthy, the non-criminals. We just don't open the border for everyone and then promise them amnesty. The American people saw through that. It says enough is enough. People are sick and tired of radical gender activists shaping the minds of children, intruding spaces for women. People have had enough. People have had enough of judging people based on their skin shade, the amount of melanin in their skin. This is death to diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is death to feel sorry forism. And I love it. This is the upholding of true, real masculinity. The shifting from mercy to justice. And it's about darn time. And abortion really didn't even play a role. That's the surprising thing. Especially in Florida. They had it on the ballot. They needed 60% and they didn't get there. They got 57%. But most Americans are reasonable on abortion. And when activists say women, they should have bodily autonomy and do whatever they want with their body, the American people have said, no, you can't do whatever you want with your body when you have a baby in your womb. Full stop. There's limits. And human rights come from humans. And if you're a theist, you can at least say it's enforced by humans. So the American people, in a way, gave the middle finger to the abortion issue. By the way, I can't see the live stream chat right now. I'm scared to look. How can I help the Democrats here? I went golfing with my buddy Monday, and he was telling me about his sister, and that he said, yeah, I think, he said to his sister, who's a progressive, I think Trump's going to win. And she was like flabbergasted. How can you say that? I mean, he's a terrible man, and he's blah, 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 blah. You know the spiel. The fact, let me help Democrats here. The fact you can't answer your own questions before you even ask them says volumes, says you're in a bubble, you need to get the heck out. I go to Discord channels, I go to YouTube channels, I talk to people. I thrive in talking to people who disagree with me. Sometimes it's like 20 on 1 on me, 20 versus me. Oh, it's sort of like that, was it Jubilee? There was like 25 against Ben Shapiro and 25 against Destiny. Like the Ben Shapiros of the world, the Destinys of the world, the PineCreeks of the world. We like that. So Democrats, here's my advice. Learn to like that. Learn to get out of your safe places. Learn to be uncomfortable and enjoy it. Learn to suffer and enjoy it. A little sadomasochist there. Oh. So my advice to Democrats, take the pronouns out of your bio. You want to win, or do you want to feel good? If you want to feel good, leave the pronouns in. If you want to win, take the pronouns out. People don't like you when you use your pronouns. This is a simple thing you can do. Another piece of advice, accept the fact that you might be hated. But be kind, civil, and accept it. Accept that some people hate you. Just ask very nicely, please don't touch me. Please don't hurt me or my family or take my property. But you can hate me all you want. If you can do that, if you're a progressive, left, woke, liberal type, if you can learn to master that, you can think so much more clearly and can have better conversations. Enjoy people hating you. And try not to care so much. This is another piece of advice. If you can learn to not care so much, it's unbelievable how more clearly you can think. If you're a woman who just, my women's health and I want a right to abortion, try to stop caring about abortion rights so much. And then listen to the other side. If you're a trans person, and you were born male and you want an F on your driver's license, stop caring about it. Just try it. Say, who cares? Who cares if the world hates me? Who cares if people don't acknowledge me for who I am? Just try not caring, and then have conversations. I tell you, it'll go way better. I mean, men came out to vote, and they said enough. Men were tired of being viewed as the bad guy. And it's this toxic masculinity that actually protects women's lives, saves women, enforces the rule of law. Let's be very frank here. Without men, this country is kaput. On the everyday keeping this country working. Sure, there's a few women plumbers, I wonder if a woman plumber, when she bends down, does she show butt crack too? I'm looking forward to the next 4 years. I'm not sure. I've said this. I know I haven't live streamed in a while, but I've said that no matter who's president, there's going to be some really tough slugging ahead because of our debt deficit interest payment situation. And that's out of the control mostly of any president. Doesn't matter who wins. When you're paying over $1 trillion per year in interest payments, that's a problem. But it'll be very interesting to see if Elon Musk actually becomes the head of the Department of Efficiency and guts the federal government 80%, like he did with Twitter. Can you imagine 80% of the federal workforce across the board in every department gone? You know what? Let's give them food stamps so that at least they don't starve, and force them to become productive members of society. Get a real job in the private sector. Let's see if they can handle it. Can you imagine if we could gut 80% of the federal workforce, give them food stamps? We'd still save a ton of money. See, from the left's perspective, from the progressive perspective, you can't touch the expenditure side of the budget, only the revenue side. So there's hope when it comes to the deficit and debt that maybe you can trim the fat so much, but I'm skeptical. With the tariff situation, Trump's not wrong. He's not totally wrong, at least. It depends on how you handle the tariffs, how you do it, on which goods, and over what time frame. In my opinion, you should apply the tariff, the duty, at the port, so it's not the consumer who pays it, it's the exporter. If you do it like that, you would have to have some type of way to distinguish between personal exports and business. You know, there's a chance you could, right now it's a couple $100 billion a year in duty fees. You could conceivably get that up to $1 trillion. And now we're talking some real cash inflow. But then if you get to the point where you could actually charge other countries and have a wealth transfer. See, this is what tariffs do. It's actually a wealth transfer, if you do it correctly, from other countries to your country, from the poorer countries to the richer country. See, this drives progressives insane. They hate this. Wealth transfer should always go from the rich to the poor. But maybe it's time for poor countries to pay the United States back. Maybe it's time for the Europeans to pay protection fees. You know why a lot of European countries can have universal health care? It's because we're protecting them. They don't have to spend money on the military. They can rely on good old USA to protect them if there's ever trouble. Maybe that should stop. Oh, the Europeans are getting nervous if they hear rhetoric like this. What? Russia's knocking on your door? What do you want us to do about it? You want help? Here's a blank check. Sign it first. So Democrats, step out of your bubble. Try this. If you want to win next time, try stopping labeling people as fascist, bigoted, homophobe, transphobe. Respect the fact that people can see the exact same thing as you do and come up with a different conclusion based on their values. Accept that. Like for many months, years, I've said to people, I don't care how you vote. I'm on record saying, hey, if this is your values, vote for Harris. But it was very rare. I've never heard a progressive left say the same thing back to me. Yeah, Doug, I totally understand. If these are your values, vote for Trump. Fine. They can't do that. They're like the Christian who says, I can't tell an atheist to stay an atheist. I mean, there's so much at stake. That fear, that emotion drives you to insanity and not thinking clearly. The people of America have sent a message. And I think the message is mostly targeted to the progressive left. The progressive left is more hated than the fundamental religious right. You are disgusting to the American people. We don't like you. We don't need you. We're okay with you staying at home, crying in your bed, and we just give you food stamps to stay in the house. Get out of our way so we can have a productive country. Let's get back to meritocracy. Your value, this is a very hard pill to hear. Your value is not in your identity. The Christians are going to disagree with me here, but I'll say it anyhow. Your value is not in your identity. Your value is what you can do for society. And if you can't do much for society, guess what? Your value to society is low. So start doing some productive stuff. Here's another tip for Democrats. You want respect of Republicans? Say, hey, I'm a successful businessman. I own this, this, and this. Hey, I'm a professional in this. I do this and this. Hey, I pay a lot of taxes. This is it. Well, okay, great. Now you got my attention. Now you've demonstrated you have value to society. Now I'll listen to you. It was fun watching The Line yesterday. For those of you who don't know, The Line is a progressive atheist, in my opinion, insane, woke, crazy channel when they talk about politics. And it was fun just watching them see how fast Florida fell. And then Jimmy is smart enough to know, as soon as he saw that, he goes, oh, we're in trouble. Matt was smart enough. He was pretty quiet during the whole thing. And he was smart enough to know this is over. And then you got some crazy, in my opinion, a crazy trans person who said, oh no, there's still hope, there's still hope. I mean, this is a red mirage. No. The signs were on the wall weeks ago that Trump was going to win. Months ago, maybe even. This is why I made bets. There was a time where I thought, when I was with Biden, I thought, oh no, Trump's going to win. And then when Harris came in, okay, it's a coin flip. And then after the honeymoon period wore off and she started talking, I'm going, oh my, Trump's going to win. And I made many $100 bets. But I forgot to all the people I've done it to. So if I've made you a $100 bet with you, I'm expecting you to be honest and pay me back. Pay me my $100. I think I got 7 bets out there. I need $700 from people. But I have a feeling a lot of you are not going to pay me. I'm waiting to see if anybody pays me. So email me, get in contact with me. Okay, now I'm going to look at the live stream chat. I haven't looked at it yet. Is there anything else I wanted to say? Yeah, my advice to Democrats. Like, I want to gloat. On purpose, I want to gloat. I think that's fun. But I also want to help. And my help, I heard Forrest Whitaker, Forrest the red-haired guy from The Line say, we need to rethink of our strategy. Yes, you do need to rethink your strategy. If you are woke progressive in how you deal with people who disagree with you across the aisle, you definitely need to rethink your strategy. Number one, have conversations with people you disagree with. Don't force them to put their pronouns in the bio. Be willing to hear things that absolutely offend you and offend your friends, and be okay with it. Stop calling people fascist, homophobe, bigot, transphobe, whatever, misogynist. Even if you think it's true, just don't say it. Just keep it in your head. Don't let your desire to have your virtual signaling come out and make you feel better. Don't let that overtake you. Stop caring so much about things. You can think so much more clearly. If you can do that, Democrats, stop the fear-mongering. You might have a chance in the future. But the shift, the red shift is real. And you know what? What I'm most looking forward to is I almost want to do a everyday countdown when Trump takes office. Day 1. Hey, trans people, have you died yet? No? You haven't been killed by the Trump administration? Day 2. Hey, progressive woke leftists, is Trump a dictator yet? Has he rounded up the Jews or the black people or whoever and sent them to concentration camps? No, he hasn't. Do that every day. Just remind them how wrong they were with all their fear-mongering. But he did do that, and that's sort of close to genocide. Okay. I am so busy. I need to explain why I haven't been online for the last month. I'm the busiest I've ever been in my life, work-wise. This is the truth. The truth. I don't know why that is. But I got the biggest project of my life recently, and then I got other projects on. And so for me, it's much easier to do shorts. I can, to fulfill that dopamine hit, than go live streaming for 3 hours. Because once I start live streaming, it's hard to stop because I do enjoy it. Although I haven't really missed not live streaming that much. So that's kind of, well, that's good in a way. It shows I'm not addicted to it. Okay, man, I got a lot of tags now. People owe you money, yes. I wish I knew their names. There's people on Discord who owe me money. There's people here, YouTube owe me money. You can gloat over the 94.7% chance Republicans win the House. Yeah, this is, I am purposely going to cause suffering in people when I say this, but this is a reality. Trump will be president, and this time he'll be ready for it. I actually think the first time he won in 2016, he actually wasn't expecting to win, and he was totally, he did not start the ground running. He's going to start the ground running this time. So, Trump is prepared. Congress is going to remain Republican. Senate could be up to 56 seats. The Democrat Party for the next 2 years, for sure, maybe 4, will be completely and utterly powerless. No power. You will be the slaves of the Republican. Oh, such language, Doc. Oh, you're making me blush, Doc. Stop it with that language. DigitalGnosis, I'm a knocking. You're assuming I'm taking callers. Does Sean owe me money? I think he might. Yeah, the Canadians. I just talked to my dad this morning. The Canadian press is freaking out that Trump won. Oh, and I gotta say this. My dad told me a horror story. My dad had another heart attack, and he's also is on chemotherapy. My dad's like a trooper. But he's really sick right now. And the Canadian healthcare system sucks. Horror stories my dad told me just like a few minutes before I went live about him being left alone in a hospital that looks like a warehouse and for like 5 hours, and he had to get the cleaning lady to give him some food and water. I mean, this is nuts. First-hand account from my own dad. I told him, Dad, next time you need something done, he lives in Manitoba, southern Manitoba. My dad is literally 12 miles from the U.S. border. I said, Dad, go to Grand Forks where the Americans can take better care of you. The hospital that in the town he's in is not bad, but they can only do so and so much. And he had to have one of those angio things where you go up the thigh into the heart and then put stents in. And he went there, I think, like early afternoon and wasn't even really looked at, or the procedure wasn't done till like 2 a.m, like 12 hours. And he said it was like 62, 65 degrees Fahrenheit inside the room, and he begged for blankets and then wasn't fed. And I mean, it's just the way he described the healthcare system in Manitoba for him on that night was like a dairy farm at best. And no, actually, no, worse than dairy farms are clean. He he said that he had to use the bathroom, and it was like a ton of stalls, and they're just disgusting. And then he made some weird comment that as soon as the Catholic nuns left this particular hospital, things just went downhill. We need more Catholic nuns, I guess. How old is my dad? My dad's turning 85 tomorrow. 85. But thankfully, we don't have to worry about universal health care ruining our healthcare system in the United States for at least 4 years. Yeah, and good point, Jared. The reason why the Canadian government can afford universal health care is because the United States' Defense Department. People don't realize that you can save so much of your budget of not spending it on tanks and planes and stuff, instead putting it into healthcare, because you got your friend taking care of you, the good old Americans. Yeah, my dad's young enough to run for office. My wife asked if now that Trump's won, I mean, the assassination attempts are going to go up, right? I said, maybe. I mean, there's a lot of crazy woke people out there who can't get a hold of their emotions and are just nuts and crazy. But I said, if Trump gets assassinated, I like J.D. Vance. My son's named J.D. J.D. Vance is a smart guy, articulate guy. He did way better during the debate than Trump did. I'm okay with trashing Trump. There's many things about Trump I don't like. Here's one example, and this is kind of frivolous, but yesterday's acceptance speech, I started watching it, and he started rambling too much. He's like an old guy who likes to tell stories, and then I bet you anything, his sons on stage behind him were thinking to themselves, Dad, shut up already. You're talking too much. I don't like bloviation, even though I'm doing a monologue here and bloviating a little bit. Vance is also a good Christian, says the man in charge. I don't know about that. When he was on Joe Rogan, he has a bit of a potty mouth, but I'm sure he's a good man. But I want to drive this point home. You woke progressives, you trans activists, you are more hated than fundamental right-wing Christians in society. When people think of you, they're so disgusted. This is why I think Trump had this landslide victory, in my opinion. That and immigration and economy maybe third. I say this to let you realize just how much you need to change. And most of you are atheists. Atheists are hated in the United States to begin with. But a progressive, woke atheist, you're below atheists. And if you're the type of person who needs to be loved and cherished and cared for and respected, stop being that then. See, I don't need neither love and affection. So I can still be an atheist and be okay with it. But at least I'm not a woke, progressive, Democrat, left-wing atheist. Should I take calls? Yeah, I might as well. But I don't want to go 3 hours. Stop your typing.
Oh, I mean, I didn't really. I was on the other tab.
So this is Nathan from DigitalGnosis. As a conservative, you're happy with the Trump victory, I take it?
Well, I mean, I'm a UK conservative, so that means I have Trump derangement syndrome, and I need someone to cure my Trump derangement syndrome. So that's what. I mean, I guess I genuinely want to figure out if I'm missing something in my model of reality, or like.
Yeah, you are.
Well, like what's gone wrong with my point of view, such that what am I not seeing that so many Americans are seeing? That's what I want.
You can have your point of view. That's one thing. The thing is, like, are you surprised that Trump won in a landslide?
Well, I mean, I think when you say landslide, I mean, in terms of popular vote, it's pretty tight, right? But
6 million votes so far. He's up.
I mean, I think it's
out of.
I'm in favor of the electoral college system. I don't want to reform that or anything, but like, I do think it's a product of that he's won.
Did Trump do well?
Yeah. He did
okay.
well.
Are you surprised Trump did well? If your answer is yes, you need to reevaluate your whole life. If your answer is no, then you're fine.
Well, I mean, I thought it could have gone either way, to be honest. But what I don't see though is I don't understand the appeal. Like I don't understand what I'm missing.
See, if you don't understand the appeal, you haven't even begun. I've said this line to Christians, right? If you do not understand the appeal of Trump, you haven't even begun to consider and understand anything political.
Okay, well, that's what I'm trying to understand. So maybe you can help.
You want me just to, as a teacher, just to give you the answer? Or do you want me to walk you through it like a student so you can start thinking for yourself?
I would love to start thinking for myself if you could help me with that.
Okay. So give me 3 reasons why you think the other side would vote for Trump.
Well, I think a big issue is immigration, right? So that's going to be the main one.
But be more specific. What about immigration?
Well, strong on the southern border. So, well, two things, I guess. One would be deporting illegal immigrants who are already in the US, and the second thing would be stopping them coming in.
You're still not getting it. Why do they want to deport immigrants?
That is what I kind of don't get. I mean, so I've got my story, but my story is probably.
Well, your story is probably racism, right? Xenophobia.
No, I think it's like because it's being pushed in the news cycle and people are consuming, too much media, so they don't have a model of the world that actually matches.
See, you're totally missing the point if you start going, people are being. The reason why I'm trying to. Okay, the reason why people voted for Trump on immigration is because they value sovereignty, number one. They value that you need a border in order to have a country. That's number one. Number two, they value it because they want an orderly system so that just not anybody comes into the country. That's just very common sense. We do not want, even if it's 1 out of a million people who come across the southern border is a rapist, we don't want that one rapist coming in. So we need to vet everybody. Common sense, reasonable. And so,
how do you think Trump will fix this? Like what is he going to do differently, or so different?
Trump has already fixed it in the last 24 hours. You know what? You know how?
You think it's just the threat of
yes.
existing?
So the fact that Trump won, if you're a person in Belize or in Peru or in Venezuela right now, and you saw the news that Trump won last night, and you were planning to make the trek up to the United States, you're going to rethink it now and probably not come.
That's probably true.
Just by Trump winning last night, immigration numbers a month from now are going to go down.
I mean, maybe. I don't know how much. I get the kind of story about people's psychology. I don't know what the actual effects will be like at a scale, but yeah.
So another way that Trump's going to help that is he's not going to do what the Biden-Harris administration did and have the feds come in to Texas and cut razor wire. No, we're going to leave razor wire up. We're going to allow you to, if you're stupid enough to go try to cross the razor wire, we will let you die.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly where I stand.
Now, what I just said, there's different personality types in the world. If you lean far left and you have a personality type of, if you like to say the word humane a lot when it comes to immigration, you're revolted by what I just said. Now, if you have a personality type more like myself and really value things like justice, following the law, then you're going to say, yeah, if they're stupid enough to cross the river where they can clearly see barbed wire, they deserve to die.
Well,
that's on them, not on the government.
So I value rule of law and justice too, but I would consider the law to currently be that if someone's seeking asylum, you're meant to help them and process them, right? Obviously that could change. But...
Okay, so on that topic, why do you think someone on the right would vote for Trump after knowing, oh, there's people in the world who are seeking asylum? Why would they? What's their thinking process?
So it's hard for me to communicate it in a way that isn't, simply me expressing my disagreement or something, because obviously I believe what I believe. So I think that they would say in as charitable a way as possible that because these people are breaking the law by coming through an illegal, by not coming through a legal port of entry, they kind of deserve what they get or something like that. I'm not sure. Do you think that's right?
Yeah, I think that's partly right. That's one reason. Another reason is they don't believe them. So people, so people on the right, when they don't suffer from feel sorry for them like most people on the left, and this is like a male-female thing. This is a personality type thing. And so when they see millions of people come across the southern border, it is very, very, very reasonable to think not all of them
fair enough.
are suffering and are true asylum seekers. I said this on Jefferson Spatchcock's channel the other day, and I used this language on purpose to make my point. Most people who claim asylum are full of shit.
I don't have good data on that to know, but I mean, my intuition is that all of them.
70% of them, and when I say full of shit, what I mean is that when they go through into the court system and try to justify their asylum case, 70% or so, nobody knows the true number, but it's the majority, do not pass the test of asylum. No. They come to this country because they can. They cross, they say the magic words asylum. They then hopefully get to find work and then send US dollars back to their home country to support their family.
So how many of those people do you think are doing it for like a better economic life?
I'd say most of them.
Is that bad because they break the law then? Or
it's good for them, but bad for the country if They're paying less in taxes than they're receiving in
Right.
benefits. So the reason why people are voting for Trump when it comes to immigration is they don't care. They think the majority of asylum seekers are faking it. They're full of shit. They don't want murderers, rapists, sick people. They don't want trans people to even come to this country because they're mentally ill in their mind. They need more health care and medical care. They're going to be a burden to society. They want a ton of immigration, but they want to be picky. They want the best. They want other countries to get worse because of immigration. They want Venezuela to get worse, not better, because people are leaving Venezuela and coming to the United States. We want the best of the best. And the United States can be choosy.
I don't know if it's zero-sum like that, but
we can be choosy because for some reason, so many people in the world want to live here. Even you want to live here, right?
yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
But do you know? So do you know then what like the data is around how much immigrants contribute into the U.S. Tax
They're a
system?
$9,000 per person deficit right now.
Okay.
Deficit. So once you
Yeah.
take into account all the taxes they pay and sales tax, even all that stuff. Now, people can cite studies going into the past, but it depends completely on where these immigrants come from. Do you think that the data on 1 million immigrants from Sweden is going to be the same as 1 million immigrants from Venezuela?
This was sort of where I was going, was like, would you be in favor then of like a policy that looked at that data and maybe discriminated by
Yes,
demographic background or something?
this is another difference between left and right. The right is all for discrimination against immigrants. The left is this is terrible. No, this is xenophobia. This is bigot. No, you want to discriminate against immigrants. I was discriminated as an immigrant. And when I use the word discriminate, I mean, do I want chicken or do I want steak? You discriminate between the two choices. And you want people who are smart, rich, healthy, non-criminals. You don't want the poor. You don't want the stupid.
It depends on your sort of like.
Okay,
holding
yeah,
the
there's
label.
trade-offs. Like if you're very poor but you're very smart, but these are the check boxes you want. And then if that means a certain person doesn't get in from, let's say, Belize, and they're having a tough time in Belize, but it's not like they're going to for sure die if they stay in Belize. The people on the left say, no, they've got to be humane. I mean, we need more people in this country anyhow, so we might as well let them in. No, I say if you can find either a very skilled, smart, rich entrepreneur type who loves to procreate, that's the person we want to bring in this country, who's married, stable. We don't want single young men coming into this country.
I think the term is fighting age males.
Yes, fighting age males. Like this is why Harris lost. This is probably the number one reason. The wokeness is number two, is because they can see with their own eyes video of streams of young men coming across. And then all it takes is 1, 2, 3 examples of young women dying from one of these people, and it's over. Democrats have lost at that point.
Yeah. So I can see why then the immigration would be a strong issue. I guess from my point of view, then I'd think that you look at all of the sort of policies and the people that come with someone and all these sorts of things together. And even if you thought Trump was a bit strong on immigration, maybe the overall balance is that he's a little bit kind of like worse, for example, on the economy more generally, foreign policy and things like that.
Okay, well, the economy is one of those things that it depends on where you're coming from.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into that.
Yeah, like
for sure.
People think that, there's a right way and a wrong way to run a country economically. No.
Yeah, I'm sure there are many,
false.
right?
Yeah.
But however, I do struggle to see like how what Trump suggests will lead to positive outcomes.
No, you don't struggle with that. You know exactly.
I genuinely struggle.
You know exactly why. I think you do, because you're not a stupid guy. You know why people would vote for Trump on the economy.
Well, because I think the reasoning is he's a businessman, therefore he's good with that.
No, policy-wise, what are some policies that he's enacted why people would vote for him economically?
Well, zero federal income tax, right? And I think that for rich people,
well, you don't have to go that far, but just lower taxes, right?
Well, yeah, lower taxes, but again,
I'm not asking you to agree or disagree with any policy position. What I'm asking you is, why do you think someone would vote for Trump for economic reasons? Number one, lowers their taxes.
well, I'm not, but I don't think that is like necessarily a good thing, and so
It doesn't matter what you think if it's good or bad. The question is, how
Yeah,
can
why
you,
would
why would someone vote for Trump for this reason? Number two, let's say you're a small business owner in California or wherever, and you just don't like the amount of regulation, like the
Yeah, I can see that.
EPA or whatever. I want to build a house and I can't because the EPA wants an environmental study because I might kill some squirrels. I mean, this is another reason why people would vote for Trump.
Yeah, I mean, squirrels are nice too. Depends on the squirrels.
So,
Yeah, I get what you mean. They have different values in with respect to those things.
and there's another big swath of people on the right, when they hear the phrase, we need to make the rich pay their fair share, they throw up in their mouth, even though they're not even rich. What, the rich are already paying the vast majority of the revenue coming into the treasury already. I mean, what
That's
is
true.
this fair share business?
Well, I think it's, those with the sort of broadest shoulders can bear the heaviest burden.
I
right?
think the poor should start paying their fair share.
I mean, I think the poor should pay taxes. I don't know what you think the kind of gotchas there.
No, it's not a gotcha to you. I'm laughing at myself with the rhetoric.
Okay.
But I do think that even if you're at the poverty level, you should still have to pay at least $100 a year in taxes to even have the right to vote or something. Like,
well, I don't know about that, but I definitely agree. Like, poor people should pay taxes, but I just think it would be a really ineffective tax policy to try and put that burden on the poorest people, because you just get far less money, and the way.
Well, yeah, I agree in terms of the dollar value, but it does change on maybe what party they vote for.
Well, wouldn't that would drive presumably.
So, in other words, if they had to pay
away from your
taxes,
party?
if the poor, probably 30 to up to 40% of people in the United States today don't pay any federal income tax. If you had a law that says, you have to pay at least some, and the Democrats say, well, okay.
You get poor people voting for the Democrats.
Yeah, you're going to have a competition on that, but.
Yeah, but I still think that there's a lot of people. So this is, a debate that happens in the UK a lot as well. And people talk about high earners as in, people like in the upper middle class income bracket, right? And I don't think that that's the relevant class of people who should be paying more taxes. So people get obsessed around, people who are at about 100K earning in the UK. So I'll say, look, if you're in, like 100 to 150, that's more money than anyone needs, whatever. But
Okay,
I think that's
but Nathan, you got to remember, what we're talking about right now is understanding why someone would vote for Trump. So your opinions on political issues, or whether it's right or wrong, is irrelevant. The issue is,
I struggle to see is
understand?
why someone would. I struggle to see why someone would buy that and not have a more sophisticated model of the way that income tax works at like a
Let me give you a tip.
nationwide level.
Let me give you a tip. If you're having a conversation, not online, like in front of people, but if you're like a private conversation with people, and you just implied that their view on things is not sophisticated, right?
Yeah. Well, I know that.
Big mistake. If you want your political side to win, this is not how you communicate.
Mm-hmm. Well, you communicate like JD Vance and Trump. You say a bunch of lies, and people like.
That's an interesting thing. Trump has been accused of being a pathological liar, right?
Oh, I don't know about pathological.
Well, okay, a liar. He lies a lot. Yeah,
he does lie a lot. Yeah.
This is the funniest contradiction to me.
Well, I don't know if it's lying as much as bullshitting, right? In the sense that he just doesn't care whether or not what he says is true or false.
Well, let's not backtrack from it. There are people, many people on the left, Democrats, who accuse Trump of lying a lot. That's fair, right?
Yeah.
Then on the other hand, they say, believe him when he says what he's going to do. I mean, they contradict themselves over and over.
That's a fair enough point, I think. Like, that's a tension in some people's views.
It's fun. But I do get a little frustrated with people like you who come on.
You're shouting.
Who come on my show. I'm not shouting at you. I'm shouting just. But I get frustrated that people don't even understand the other side. Like,
well, that's what I'm trying to do, though. I'm trying to understand. That's why I'm having this conversation.
But it even bothers me that you can you don't even need me to understand the other side. Just chat GPT it. You can ask, why would someone vote for Trump on immigration? You'll get probably a very close answer to what I've said.
Oh no, because it's ChatGPT is woke. It can't understand. ChatGPT can't understand what they think.
Like, I understand. I know woke left progressives as well as my glorious naked body. I mean, I could tell you why people vote for Harris. Like, there's like probably 3 or 4 things. Mostly it's because Harris is not Trump. But even on a pro side, I can tell you why people would vote for Harris. Mm-hmm. I can tell you what demographics are going to vote for Harris. I can tell you what personality types are going to voat for Harris. There are some people that will never, ever change their mind.
I think if you were very accurate on that, you would have produced a poll and made a bunch of money. I think in the vague sort of strokes of it.
Well, I've been consistently predicting a Trump victory for over a year.
Yeah, I mean,
sure, I didn't do exact polling, but
well, I think obviously you turn out to have accurately predicted that, but I don't think you had very good reasons for that. No. I think that people who are more 50-50 on the polls. Wokeness. Yeah, but I don't. Well, I know, but I think that these are very bad. Like, I don't think you really.
Okay, but now we're just talking about my dad's stronger than your dad type of thing without having our dads meet. It's just opinions, right? I think your reasons are bad. I think my reasons are good. Okay, now what? So the issue is understanding people.
Reasons. And yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to understand.
So I think you do understand why people vote for Trump. You just disagree with their reasons.
Yeah, that's probably partly true. And then maybe what I'm expressing to you is that I find that really difficult. And so I'm like, Doug, help me understand like this value difference, or help me live alongside this value difference, so I don't get so frustrated by.
That's people. Basic psychology.
So okay, go on.
so basically, men and women are different. You agree with that?
In some ways, like.
If you don't believe that,
at a population level, yes,
then we're kind of stuck. But a lot of, if you look, I just looked at the exit polling before I went live a little bit, and it was 55% of women voted for Harris, 55% of men voted for Trump.
Yeah, and it was mostly white women for Trump, I think, and black women for Harris or something. So
I'm not sure if that's true. I didn't look at that, but so that gives you a little bit of insight on values, right? A woman is more likely to
other way around, sorry. White women for women for Trump.
That sounds right. Because of guilt. So if you're a woman, a real woman, not a trans woman, you're more likely to care about things like nurturing and use words like humane when talking about immigration. You are more likely, of course, to be concerned about issues like abortion. And because you want to have fun and then not have to pay the consequences later, and carry a baby to term, so there goes into some of the values. Men tend to be more aggressive, risk taking. So on things like climate change, for example, a woman's going to be more worried about, oh my goodness, I might die. A man's like, we're going to be fine. This is basic psychology.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So that's probably the primary difference of what causes these differences in values. Another one is personality types that have been massaged through how you're raised and the culture you're raised in.
I see a lot of the guys who are voting Trump. It seems like they don't really have a lot of reasons at all, actually, other than like, Dana White did it or Joe Rogan endorsed it. Whatever. Like, it seems quite low resolution thinking in the same way someone might vote for.
Okay, this is exactly what you don't want to say if you want to win next time.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So, you don't want to say this. So what you want to say is, help me understand how what's his name? Dana White and Joe Rogan, what kind of impact have they had on you on this election? You don't want to say, well, I don't think your reasons are good just because some MMA guy says it. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a bad reason for someone to vote, but obviously if you're trying to persuade them, you don't want to say that. So how would you have ran the Democrat campaign?
Oh, thank you for asking that question. Yeah, that's a glorious question. Okay, if I was Harris and I was running the Democratic election, immigration, number one. We screwed up, America. Biden, but it's mostly Biden's fault. I'm just the VP. So, I was asked on The View, what would I have done differently? You know what I answered? I'm Harris right now. I would have never have done what Biden forced me and others to do. I would have sealed up that border.
You were the border czar. You were the border czar.
Yes, but I was under the thumb of the Biden administration, and I was given my marching orders, and I regret that. I apologize to the American people for doing what I did. That's step number one. If she would have done that, taken responsibility for screwing up the border, saying she'll never do it again, fall on her knees, and ask for forgiveness. Sorry, that was a bit of a pun. Fall on her knees, you get it? I think she would have done way better. Okay, on the woke issue, number two. No, we can't have boys just self-IDing as girls and going into schools, school bathrooms. We can't have. I'm against this sports thing. It's okay to have. There's a reason why women's sports exist, and we should just have a blanket thing. If you're male, you can't compete against females. And in other words, if Harris would have talked more like me, she would have got more votes.
Do you think what do you think would have happened if she had like a genuine like Bernie style left wing, like if she went harder left? Do you think that would have given her a better identity for people to have something to sort of believe in?
I understand what you're saying. There's a percentage of disenfranchised type Democrats who didn't vote for her, stayed home. But because
a guy like you, right, even if you heard Harris sort of like say some of those things, you wouldn't go, oh, okay, I won't vote for Trump now, like because Trump's like
I think if Harris would have said the things I would have said, she would have lost some of the progressive types, but she would have gained more of the middle road, central left types. Mm-hmm. And I think it would have been a net gain for her.
Right. Okay.
The people on the far left, the Bernie types, they're just lost. I mean, you just put them in the bin of deplorables and be done with it.
I had a thought as well today. I wonder what you'd think about this. If she had like directly challenged RFK more, because then it would have kind of like built him up as like a legitimate third option and maybe taken the spotlight off Trump a bit, by
But you got to remember most states took him off the ballot as soon as he endorsed Trump. So it might have worked on some states, but I don't think it made a difference.
Prior to him endorsing Trump, that's what I mean. So like if like initially they were like always debating RFK, and then it would put him in the spotlight rather than it being like, because everything seemed very reactionary. Trump was like center stage for the whole campaign. But it was all, what's he going to say? How's he going to react?
Here's the bottom line for Harris. The only way she could have won, in my opinion, is if she became something other than her true self.
What do you mean? Something other than her true self?
What I mean is she leans heavily socialist / some people say communist. She likes to use the word equity. And
isn't her dad a Keynesian economist? Isn't that the? I thought that was.
Is he? I don't think so.
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. I think that when people keep saying her dad is a Marxist economic.
Well, I didn't say that, but she definitely uses the word equity and loves the whole idea of transferring of wealth from some people to other people, so they start at the same place.
That's not communism, though.
No, I never said it was. Okay. And so I think this is the real her, and the real her could never win in the United States of America.
Okay.
But the real Donald Trump can, because the United States is different than the UK, different than European countries. We're not weak-kneed, touchy-feely types. We're willing to
apart from when it comes to woke issues, and then you can't, you lose your mind and.
Oh no! We don't lose our mind. We just go to the ballot box and vote, and then you get what you saw.
I don't think it was that overwhelming, to be honest.
What? Okay, I know you're in the UK.
I think it's sort of similar to like. By the way, you're sharing like some part of your screen. I don't know if you want to share it. Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, it's nothing. I got nothing to hide.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Oh yeah, obviously he won in most states, right? But I'm talking about what was the popular vote difference?
That one's always hard to find. Usually it should be right at the top. Popular vote results. Here it is. Okay, Harris got 66.9.
I can't see on your screen. I think it's the section of it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well, you can see Trump had 71.8.
Yeah.
Harris had, this is a 6. So 66.992. So what is that?
Yeah, there's a difference, but
5 million. That's 5%. No, 4%. Three and a half. But what's your point in this? Like the last time, this is amazing for Republicans to win not only the Electoral College, but also the popular vote. That hasn't been done since, was it Reagan? Or did Bush pull it off? I forget. But
I don't know if Bush did it, yeah.
Like this is why I'm gloating so much, because Trump has a mandate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
I'm not saying he doesn't.
And the popular vote signals to the far left progressives that you are not liked.
Oh yeah, I think the Democrats, really got so many things wrong with their sort of campaign, right? Biden should have stepped down way sooner. I think they really shot themselves in the foot with all the sort of, trying to pretend that like Joe was doing better than he was, or weird kind of like staged events around it. Like they just didn't seem as transparent or relatable as I think, a lot of the Republican.
Well, people did not buy the fear mongering of Trump's going to be a fascist, a dictator, authoritarian. The American public took their middle finger, shot it straight up to the Democrats, said, F you, shut up already. It's just. And
I'd be interested like for you to explain to me then maybe like your psychology on this, because I guess I find how Trump handled the 2020 election certification process like very troubling. The sort of way.
Okay, but again, if we're talking about understanding the other side, what you think doesn't matter.
Well, I guess I'm saying this not to persuade you, but for you to help me understand how it is. You think like why this isn't something.
If you don't already know the answer to your own question, you haven't even begun to think about these issues. So what's my answer?
I may not have.
What's a guess of what I could answer?
So you might say, like, I don't know, it's just not really a problem. That was just one time. He won't do it again. It's not a problem because the policies, like draining the swamp, matters more or something. Like,
why is it? You were on the right track. Why is it not a problem? Because he can't do it again.
I'm not sure why you'd think that. Because
he's not in power right now. He cannot repeat. He cannannot repeat 2020 by definition.
Well, yeah, but obviously it would be when he's in power, right? We're not talking about.
Okay.
We're not talking about this election.
So why would someone on the right like myself not be concerned about at the end of this next term?
Maybe it's because you're thinking he's close to death or something. I don't know, too old.
Well, that's not my thought, but that's not a bad one.
So he couldn't do it for too long.
Right, he's going to die eventually. But what's another like what is the common talking point from the right on this issue?
I think they just say it was stolen and he's in the right. So, I mean, that's what I typically hear.
No, why he's not going to have a third term? What? Again, I'm trying to help Democrats here and progressives especially.
No, I genuinely don't know. So maybe
you generally don't know what the right side.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe when you say it will be something I've heard before, but I at this point I can't guess. I'm not sure.
Okay, because they say the typical right response is he's already been president. He was the 45th president of the United States. If he wanted to be a dictator, he could have done something at least more to try to be a dictator when he was already in power. Well, he before 2020. Right.
Well, I think the problem is
before January 6th.
Yeah, before at the 2020 election, right? So that election in 2019.
But do you understand what I just said?
Yeah,
you don't have to agree with it. I'm saying this is what the right will say.
Yeah, I think it's false, the claim, right? So
now, have you ever heard that before? What I just said.
Yeah, I have heard people say it.
Okay, so when I asked you to explain what would be a common response from the right on why Trump is not going to be a dictator, why he's not going to have a third term, why didn't you say, well, we have evidence he was already president and he didn't do it then, so why would he do it in the future? We have a historical.
Because I forgot that people have said that in things.
Okay, you just forgot. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying that as like a rhetorical move or anything. Like genuinely, I just forgot.
But this is what boggles my mind, is that anybody who is interested in politics and can't quickly say, oh, I know the position of everybody who disagrees with me on this issue. I know what they say. I know what they're going to say. I disagree with it, but I know what they're going to say. And I even understand what they're saying. I think the perspective is wrong, but I know it. And so many people can't do that. Like I get tons of questions, even when I'm working like every day from people. Why do you think this? You should already, if you have done any research on your own, you should already know the answer, or at least have a good guess of what my answer is going to be before you even ask it.
So why is it that I think that's false then?
Oh, the reason why you think it's false is because you could say things like, well, Trump has changed. Now Trump has more experience. You can use that same reasoning to say, because of his experience of the first term, he knows what he's going to do differently, and he knows what he's going to do to get away with it. You could also say things like, okay, maybe Trump's not going to be in the third term, but maybe Trump Jr. will be, and it will be a new dynasty of political power in a family, sort of like it was with the Bushes, and you're against that type of nepotism, whatever. What else could you say?
It is a little bit different, yeah.
And then, of course, you can refer to January 6th. Like, even if Trump can't exactly duplicate January 6, 2021, because he's not currently in power, just the fact that a man would do something like that disqualifies him from the presidency of the United States, because what he has done, he's shown that he has no regard for democracy, the rule of law, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to stay in power. So I can talk and think exactly like a progressive to the point where...
You haven't given my point, though. You haven't given my point. I have a slightly different point. Then.
Okay, if you say it slightly different, then I have slightly given your point. Right?
I mean, not enough to have given the point. Okay, I'll be more mean then. I was saying slightly to be polite, but you've not given my point. So my point is that he would actually only have to do exactly the same thing, because having seen what happened, right, the Republicans who continued to certify the election, even when Trump was putting pressure on them, they've been pushed out of the party. So he would only have to do exactly the same thing, and the MAGA loyalists wouldn't sort of, act as the guardrail against that kind of thing that he was trying to do.
Okay. Yeah, and
So
I've heard that one as well. What probability assessment do you give that situation? We're talking about the future now.
Yeah, I mean, if we factor in him getting older and like maybe dying, I mean, I think that's like basically the main thing. So I'd probably say I'm like 60%, I think.
60%. Okay. Yeah. I hear that number and I think insanity. I'm going to give my estimate. I'm going to say 0.0006%. Mm-hmm. So, and you hear that number and you think it's insane. This is the difference. You and I can agree on, okay, this is what could happen. There's nothing logically impossible about it. And yes, you can point to some historical things that show that Trump may be inclined to do such and such. But now when we put our percent likelihood of this happening, one person gets 60%, the other one gets 0.0006. I mean, what do you do at that point? You can just agree to disagree and walk away, right?
I'm trying to understand is what I want to do, because then I think...
No, you don't. But see, my guess is at this point, you're not trying to understand. You're trying to convince.
I would like to convince you, right? But if I find something out about your view that I'm missing, then I'd like to change my mind.
But here's the problem with trying to convince on the future, is that on this type of thing, it is a crystal ball type issue, sure. and there's prior probabilities baked into this. Like, how many times in U.S. history has this happened? to the degree that you're talking about? Answer is what? Zero.
Yeah.
I mean,
so what? Maybe there are some things that might convince you, right, or push you more in my direction. So,
convince me of what?
Candidates.
That Trump will have a third term?
They would raise your probability, that Trump is going to kind of do that sort of thing again. So, for example, if Trump ordered an F-35 strike on Joe Biden, would that be something that raised your confidence he was going to do that sort of thing?
Do a third term?
Yeah. If he ordered a jet to go up and bomb Joe Biden's house,
not necessarily, because maybe a little bit, but maybe from 0.00006 to 0.00005,
that little, yeah,
or 7. But you can imagine a case where someone's vindictive and wants another person dead and still have no desire to do a third term.
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine it, but I guess when we're talking about the probability assignments and stuff, it'd be like, well, what would be the reasons to think that he is going to peacefully transfer power if he's doing that sort of thing, right?
Yeah, I understand that. Yep.
Yeah.
So my probability assessment would still go up, but in order for him to order a strike against a former president, seems like, is there a reason behind it?
I mean, just like personal spite or something.
What if Biden gave the nuclear codes to Russia?
Yeah.
And just before he's going to hit the send button, Trump orders a strike and he actually saves humanity.
That's true. Yeah, maybe that. I mean, that could be the case as well. What if he started using the military to sort of like, go against political? But say if there's like a pro-Palestine protest and he just sends the army in to stop them and send them all to prison or something. Would you?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. If it's a peaceful protest, yeah, then that would raise my probability. But if they're actually protesting and rioting to the point where they're shooting other people and the police can't handle it, I'm okay with the military, the U.S. military being used against U.S. citizens. I'm okay with that. And this is one of the fear-mongering tactics that Harris used that failed greatly, in my opinion, because most reasonable people in the United States would say, hey, if there are American citizens who are getting out of control and the police force cannot handle it, send in the troops and have U.S. military shoot American citizens. Most Americans in that situation, it's very reasonable to say that's okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on the context of the claims like Trump was making. What about lawfare, right? So what about if Trump sort of uses his judges and his power to, in a biased way?
So if he does what Biden did to him?
Yeah, if he does what Biden did to him, would you think that that's wrong?
Would that increase my probability assessment?
Is that going to make you think that he's someone who's like not a good president? He's going to violate the rules. Yeah. Does it increase your probability?
Yeah. If it's for absolutely to try to silence someone and there's no good reason, that would raise my probability. But keep in mind that he could have indicted Hillary and he didn't the first time.
Yeah, that's true. That is a good point.
So does that lower your probability?
It does actually a little bit, I think.
From 60 to what?
Probably like 58 or something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
I think the problem is people around Trump as well, because I think a lot of those people will also pursue. Anthony Scaramucci, right? I think he said he doesn't think like Trump will come after him, but there are people around Trump.
But I want to be honest with you, Nathan, because I think there's a lot of people who share your sentiment and have such a high probability. I don't want to change your mind. I want you to continue, because I actually want you to suffer a little bit mentally on this. No, seriously.
I'd like to have true beliefs. I'm trying to.
Well,
I'm trying to figure out what...
you can't have a true belief on a prediction.
Well, I mean, it's true if it's an accurate. I'd like to have accurate predictions, right?
Well, you can't have accurate predictions.
Oh,
you can only have predictions. You can have predictions based on accurate data. I guess that's what you're trying to say. But
no, I'm trying to say predictions that tend to come true more than they come false.
The reason why I want people to suffer on this is because I think it will lead to a greater good, that they'll lower their confidence in the future. So I want the Matt Dillahunties
about that, yeah.
I want the Matt Dillahunties of the world to say, there's a 40, 50, 60% chance that Trump will desire and attempt a third term. And then when it totally falls flat, I want to be able to replay that back to him and say, maybe you shouldn't have said 60%. Maybe you should have said closer to Doug's answer.
When you say totally falls flat, right? Would him saying that the election's being stolen, like next time around or something, would that be sufficient?
It wouldn't be with him.
Well, I know obviously he shouldn't be able to do more than 2 terms. So if he does try, something's going wrong in the
first place. if he does a third term, there won't be an election.
Yeah.
So it's moot.
But suppose it's not him, and there's a MAGA continuation. It's Vivek Ramaswamy or it's JD Vance, and they sort of try the same thing, right? They take over the MAGA movement. It's not sort of old school republicanism, and instead what they start doing is they start saying, look, the election's being stolen. It's the voting machines. Who's the guy that Steve Bannon says was that software? They say there's like a secret piece of software they've got that switches the votes.
Did you see the video of someone in was it Ohio trying to vote for Trump and it went to Harris? They actually have video.
I've not seen that. No.
Yeah.
I'd have to see the video too.
And the person in charge of that voting station admitted, yeah, this was a flaw, and it did happen. But anyhow, go on.
Well, I think maybe what you're talking about is, wasn't there a place where someone like updated the machines wrong, and then they clicked through all the ignore warnings, and so there was one genuine case where there was like a place in 2020 where 2019 where the voting machines were wrong, right? And then the sort of like Bannon and whatever his podcast called, they started saying, look, all the voting machines are like this. And then Trump started saying, oh, it's in a chip. All they have to do is switch the chip and it does it. And then you got Fox News saying that. And then you got the legal case, right? And then the legal case.
What's the question?
So the question was, if Vance and Vivek Ramaswamy
if Trump said that the election was stolen from them, would that
increase your confidence that these were people that were operating, they were trying to undermine democracy some more if they make the same claims?
No. No. I think just because someone makes a claim that that there was a flaw in the democratic process doesn't mean they're trying to undermine all democracy.
Okay. Do you think when Hillary was claiming that Russia that Russia influenced the election, and got Trump elected in 2016, do you think that was sort of undermining democracy in some way?
No, I actually support Hillary Clinton's First Amendment right of free speech to make that claim.
Okay, fair enough.
I think, of course, she was wrong, and I think most of the world now thinks she's wrong. And there's some evidence that it was wrong. But yeah, if anybody in the United States of America can get up and say, I think this election was stolen, and they have the right to say it, they have the right to present their evidence for it. Oh, you know what I would love to see? I would love to see the 2020, now that the Republicans have all the power and the progressive woke left have none, I would love to see an adjudication, a re-adjudication of the 2020 election, because this is so interesting to me. I can not care about being a Republican. I can not care about being a conservative. I can just say to myself, I don't give a shit, right? I can say this. And just as an alien from another planet, come look and say, okay, this guy named Trump, he won in 2016. He got more votes than he did in 2016 and 2020 and lost. And then he had a landslide victory in 2024. Something's weird about that 2020 data point. I think even if you're on the left side of the aisle and you now look at the results of 2016, 2024, and then look at 2020 now with fresh eyes and don't give a shit. And just, you guys, there's a little bit of you says, well, maybe something weird did happen.
Well, I think something, obviously I've got an explanation, right? But what do you think my explanation is for?
Oh, because of COVID, the mail-in ballots totally skewed everything.
Actually, no, that isn't my explanation. I think it's because when Trump was in power at that time.
Oh, yeah, let me try again.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it still has to do with COVID, though. I know a lot of people were mad at Trump for
I
kind
know
of
what you're
for
going to say.
for allowing,
You shouldn't have got lockdowns. And
yeah,
masks,
for
and we're
allowing the
gonna-
lockdowns, yeah, and that could have negatively affected him. But anyhow,
I
what we
think. Well, yeah, I mean, I think stuff like that is going to obviously be a part of it for some of the sort of like Republican voters. Though I don't think that for those people who sort of get conspiracy pilled, I don't think they would then vote for Biden instead, because if anything, Biden's even more sort of in on the conspiracies and things.
But I would love
But
to see. I would love to see that adjudicated. I would love to
Sure.
see.
Yeah, but my explanation then would be more that the kind of constant drama and mishandling of current affairs was fresher in people's memory, and so you have more of those sort of people who aren't as polarized either way, deciding to vote for an alternative rather than sort of maintain the same. And I think you probably see the same thing with people going away from the Democrats towards Trump this time. They're like, look, I'm not happy with the way things are now, and so I just want a change.
But how many votes did Biden get in 2020? It wasn't like 81 million or something.
Yeah, I don't know the numbers. I couldn't.
Like this election, the Republicans, I think, did a really good job in getting out the vote. I mean, the Charlie Kirks of the world, the Joe Rogans of the world. I mean, like a president of the United States going on podcasts. Like, has that ever been done before?
Yeah, I think that was. I think his media team got it really right. I think they did. Yeah.
Okay, so given all that effort, and Trump got how many votes so far? It's not finished tabulating. What did I say he got?
71%.
71 million. And counting, because Arizona, Nevada.
Percent. Sorry. So I think that's more than. I don't know how many.
No, you were right. It was 71 million. And Biden got how many in 2020?
Well, yeah, I don't know. But you said 80 million. Maybe that's a number. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I was right. I was dead on. 81 million. Really? Really?
I think so. Yeah. It's like, yeah.
No, but pretend you don't give a shit, okay? Pretend you don't care about even democracy. And you're just looking at the data and you see the effort that Republicans put in. You see a landslide victory for Trump. And it looks like Trump is not going to hit 81 million. And then you see a guy named Biden, who's even in 2020 was old and frail, getting 81 million votes.
I think he was very much out debating Trump in that. He's obviously he has bad dementia.
He's better than Harris. I'll give him that.
He has bad dementia now, but I think at the time he was still very articulate, and I think he kind of ran circles around Trump in the debates. So.
You know who's happier than me today? Biden. Biden is sitting in whatever. I don't even know if he's in the White House right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's happy every day though.
He's going like this. He goes, "I told you so." I mean, I would love to have a time machine and keep Biden in and rerun the numbers.
What do you think would have happened if there was another debate
between Kamala
Trump and Harris? Yeah, Trump and Harris.
I think Trump would have been much better. Trump sucked. He couldn't have gotten much worse.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is that I would have predicted basically, similarly bad.
I think it. No. What I'm saying is, Trump did so bad in the first debate. If he would have done a second debate, it would have had to have been better. He would. I think, as hard as it would have been for his handlers to say, "Don't let Harris bait you," I think he would have done better. It would only have been positive for Trump. Harris is not smart. I agree with Trump.
I don't know.
If Harris was in this room with me and you right now, we could run circles around her.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, you do know. I mean, you and I.
No, I've just not listened to a lot of her. Like,
I'm here. Yeah. You're here, and she's down here. I actually think that if there's going to be a female president of the United States, here's my prediction. It will come from the Republican Party.
Maybe. I mean, it would be interesting. Yeah, it might be true.
I do not think a female can win the presidency of the United States as a Democrat, but as a Republican, yes.
Yeah, you need the sexist to vote for you. So
exactly. Anyhow, I should let you go and see if anybody else wants to come in.
Yeah, no worries. I would have wanted Nikki Haley to win, to be fair. So yeah.
Nikki Haley, yeah. Actually, I looked at the exit polls, and they screwed up. They had Haley Trump on one of the states instead of Harris Trump. So that was a nice faux pas. Anyhow, thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, no worries, Dick. Enjoy your years of MAGA.
I'm going to gloat for 4 years.
Hey, hang on, the last thing actually.
Yeah.
So what you need to say though, no, there can't be any excuses, right? Because this overwhelming victory, Trump's won the Senate, winning Congress. It's all Republican, right? So there's no excuses. If things are still woke, if the wars are still
yes, you're right.
Yeah.
On the wokeness issue and on the immigration issue, I will be the first one to come on here if Trump doesn't, make the border more closed. You can't seal it 100%. And really, I want him to withhold all federal funds from schools that allow this trans garbage. If he doesn't come through with that, I'll be the first one and say, "Hey, Trump, you said you'd do this. You didn't. Get out of here." I mean,
peace, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, Palestine as well.
Yeah, same. No, same. That's tougher though. You got to admit that's tougher.
Yeah. I'm just trying to figure out where you're at.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not scared. Trump is not my first choice for president. You know that. Right. I'd much rather have a Vivek Ramaswamy or even J.D. Vance, even DeSantis. I think is better than Trump. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, yeah. Enjoy.
Okay, see ya. I put the link in the live stream chat if anybody else wants to call in. This is getting to the point where I'm doing what I don't want to do. For those of you who came late, let me summarize. Yes, I'm gloating. I don't care. But I do want to help the Democrats do better next time. And the way they do better is you've got to stop calling the right side of the aisle fascists, bigots, homophobes, transphobes. You got to stop demonizing. You got to stop fear mongering. Oh, if you vote for Trump, this will happen. Whatever. Stick to the policies. Understand the other side. Get out of your bubble. Talk. Be in a room with 10 Republicans, if you're a Democrat, and try to be comfortable. Here's another hint, advice. Don't care so much. Relax, smile, laugh. Don't care so much. Do you want to be sad for the rest of your life? No, you don't. So try this. Try being a little apathetic, just a little bit, and then you'll learn you will immediately think more clearly once you can become more apathetic. I have no opinions on Trump's pick for cabinet, other than I do think Elon might head some department of efficiency. That actually might happen. I'm totally okay if Elon attempts to fire 80% of the federal workforce. If you are a federal worker right now, you ought to be a little scared. Whether you work at the post office or for the Department of Defense. You're probably going to have to sit down behind a desk someday, look a guy like Elon in the eyes, and answer the question, what exactly do you do here? Oh, that's going to be so great. I would love to see people who've been in public service for most of their life have to go in the private sector and compete and see if they're good enough to compete in the private sector. Oh, that would be sweet. And if you came late, I thanked the trans activist community for electing Donald Trump. I thank the people who were big on diversity, equity, and inclusion for electing Donald Trump. Thank you. I thank the Department of Justice for all those indictments, because that helped elect Donald Trump as President of the United States. The United States public saw all this happening and said, enough is enough. We don't like you people. We find you people weird. The people who really run the day-to-day operations in this country says enough is enough.
Hey, what's up, PineCreek?
Oh, I remember you.
Yeah. So I woke up, I went to bed early last night and I woke up and then I looked at my portfolio this morning and man,
I
looking
know.
good.
The markets, well, here was another indication that Trump was going to win. All the markets, both the stock market, poly market, predicted, they were all predicting a Trump victory.
Did you see, have you ever followed DJT, his Truth Social stock?
No. Oh.
That's
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. What's it doing today?
it dipped really hard yesterday afternoon. And that was like some like spooky predictor that the Trump campaign got some sort of news or something. But now it's super high. Like it's
The
up
opposite of a
like ten
dump and
dollars.
pump. No, it was a dump and
Yeah,
pump. There's a pump and
yeah.
dump, and then there's a dump and pump.
The Democrats say that's like where all of the foreign entities will invest in ads on his Truth Social in order to funnel him money in order to control him. What do you have you heard of that?
Well, I've heard things like that, but that doesn't bother me at all. I actually think that, you know, I think you and I have brains and we can think for ourselves. And so
Yeah,
if someone from Canada wants to influence your brain or my brain, you're welcome to. If someone
yeah,
from
fair enough.
Venezuela wants to influence my brain or your brain, even on political issues, you're welcome to. The ultimate responsibility ends with the American citizen who votes. And whether Russia wants to influence it, or Venezuela, or Canada, let them try. You still are responsible for your own decisions. Now, but here's the thing, people on the left, they don't like what I just said because they deeply view the country differently. They view, as most Americans, as being very, very stupid. So we have to make sure the Russians, the Venezuelans, the Chinese, we can't let them talk to the American people, because if the American people hear their voices, they're so stupid. They might start believing some of that stuff, or they won't do their own research. See, this is one
Do
of the
you
main differences.
do you feel like your characterization of the left is similar to like the left's characterization of the right?
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
think
of course,
I think
but
they like to say, well, the right's all fascist. They're all, ready for some sort of military takeover and fall in line for Trump. And then their criticism of the left is it's all communists that are all transgender, Black Lives Matter
yeah,
activists ready to just riot and tear everything down.
the people on the left will view the far right as crazy wacko nut jobs. Like we're talking about the really far right conservative, let's say religious people, or even, I don't know, conspiracy type flat earthers, whatever. But then the same holds true for the people on the right, how they view the progressive folks on the left. I get what you're saying. But what this election has showed is that as bad as the far right fundamentalist wacko jobs are, who view Trump as God's gift to humanity, as bad as those people are, the American people said the woke progressives are worse. And that I love. That brings such joy to my heart. That the trans activists, the DEI, the people with pronouns in their bio, they are viewed more negatively based on this election results than the far right, and that makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's what irks me so much. I don't know those people. Like uh, in my social circles, in my work, just all of that, like people
Well, it's about 15 to
that I
20%. So,
interact.
yeah, you might not interact with any of those types.
No, I know, but that's what I hear when I hear like from like I don't know right wing podcast clips or you or just other folks. Like that's the characterization, and that's like it's really frustrating.
Well, the thing
So
is, the American people view Kamala Harris as more of that wacko 15 to 20% than more of a
yeah,
centrist, based on some things she said in the past, like the federal government should support transitioning for federal inmates, even if they're illegal immigrants. Like, that's a wacko thing to say. That
so
is a nut
what do
job
the
thing to say.
Democrats do from here? I'm hoping for them to be just completely like eat themselves and completely rebuild. And,
I don't actually care what the Democrats do from here. I mean, they are completely and utterly powerless for at least 2 years and probably 4, and they don't matter.
Well, do you want kind of like an opposition to kind of hold your people to a high standard?
Yeah, they'll still exist. Then they will be the opposition. But I'm just saying that so basically, Trump will do what Trump wants if he has the green light from the House and Senate, which he probably will. It's not for sure that the House is Republican, but it's looking like it will be. So if he has all branches of government, if he has a Republican-leaning Supreme Court, there's no stopping that mandate from coming to fruition.
Is there anything that would go too far for you that would
definitely
take your support away?
Definitely, yeah.
Because I think we tried. I think the last time I talked to you about it, I don't think I wanted to go there, but I don't think we did. I was because I was trying to imagine a world where all of the CRT, transgender, Black Lives Matter people were at the Capitol and breaking windows and tearing stuff up and getting a vice president to refuse to certify an election. I'm trying to imagine a world where that happens, and I just don't see it. And so I guess that would be, in a sense, like a threshold for me, I suppose. But for you, I think it's been hard to, I've listened to you a lot, obviously, so it's been hard to understand kind of where you stand there.
Well, I've talked about that so much. How do you
drive you quite a bit?
I've talked about this issue. You're talking about January 6th, right?
Well, I mean, that's like one example, but just my dream, I want somebody like Ross Perot to just take a whole bunch of time on an infomercial and just like tell it to me straight and put a slide deck in front of me and start going over numbers, right? That's my dream.
Well, Russ,
so
a good guy to listen to is one of my state congressmen in Arizona. What's his name? But if you want to,
you got a guy from Tennessee that's pretty good too.
But if you want a straight shooter on the numbers and the deficit and so forth, listen to some of the C-SPAN stuff he does. His bottom line is the only way we're going to fix our deficit situation is you can try things on the revenue side. You could even try putting the income tax rate to 80% for billionaires.
We got to drill, baby, drill.
But the bottom line is you have to look at the expenditure side, and the biggest expenditure is Social Security and Medicare. And the way you can lower it is make Americans healthier. And it sounds so bizarre, like, oh, it can't be that simple. But it is kind of that simple. If you make Americans healthier, like things like diabetes, it affects, 20% of Americans. And the amount of health care that's spent on a disease, type 2, that's preventable just by people eating better, making better life choices, exercising. You start taking 20% of our Medicare budget. Now you're taking a big dent out of the expenditure side.
I think those things are easy observations, but you have to execute somehow, right? So,
well, the problem is it's still left to the free will of the human. I mean, you can't force people to eat certain things, but you can maybe force grocery stores not to put garbage on the shelves. But then do you really want that? Do you want a free country in that respect where people can, have the freedom to get fat?
No, I think we've chosen no. I think we let it go to the market to decide.
Yeah, but then, see, this is why private healthcare is better than universal healthcare, because you and I, of course, are in perfect tip-top shape, but not everybody's like us, right? So if someone uses their free choice to smoke, drink, eat poorly, and then they need a fire department to come drag them out of their bedroom because they live on the second floor and they can't fit through the door, and then they have to go to the hospital and get all this work done, their hearts shutting down, whatever. You and I are paying for that. We're paying for their bad choices.
Yeah.
But in a totally free market, no, you've made your own bed. Bye-bye, you're going to die.
I could see that. I actually
David Schweikert.
David
You
Schwartz.
look him up.
I'll look him up.
He's a congressman for Arizona, and he has that likable attitude. Like I think even Democrats, the woke progressives, will even like the way he talks. Now he's a numbers guy though, and so if you don't like numbers, like most Democrats struggle with numbers because they sucked at math, because they're 55% female. I'm just triggering people left and right. Oh, so much fun.
I love it. Keep it going.
But David Schweikert.
Yeah, he's in a tight race. I'm sure he'll probably win, but looks like they're still calling. They haven't called his race yet. I actually, on the health thing, a while back, you were talking about the carnivore diet, and that actually encouraged me to look into it, and I did it. I did it for about a year. And I lost about 80 pounds.
Yeah, it works for losing weight. I was never 100% carnivore. I was 80%, I would say. Now, actually, I'm 80% vegetarian, and it's because of I have bad acid reflux, and so I tried experimenting with eating far, far less meat, and it seems to be helping. So.
Okay. Well, hey, I appreciate it, Doug. I have to get back to work.
Yeah, you know what? I want you to work hard because there's going to be a lot of federal public employees who will be fired and will need your tax money to pay for their food stamps.
Well, actually, about 60% of my income comes from not working, actually, because I own a certain amount of capital that does work for me.
Good for you. How old are you?
So 36.
36. Okay, you know what? If you were Venezuelan, and everything else is
I
the
wouldn't
same.
be able to do that, would I?
Well, no. I'm saying everything else is the same. Let's say you managed to pull it off. 60% of your income was from non-earned income, and you came to our border, and I was in charge of immigration. I'd say, I want you in this country.
Is it because of my complexion or?
No, I don't care how much melanin is in your skin.
How clearly I can speak English.
I look to the inside. I look to the brain. You've made some right choices in your life, even though you have a tattoo where your ring should be.
It's my ex-wife's initial. See, I made some bad choices too.
Okay, you're out. Sorry, you can't cross the border.
Thanks for consideration.
Okay, see ya. Anybody who's been divorced can't cross the border. Shows you don't know what love is and commitment. Okay, maybe I'll take one more. Matt Dillahunter, are you listening? I'd love you for you call in. Or Jimmy Snow, are you listening? Call on in. I will teach you how to communicate better with the opposing side. I will make you better humans. I will teach you how to be more dead inside. Yeah, Waxican, I think you're right. What sectors of the market will be positively impacted by the election results? Well, just use your common sense. Drill, baby, drill. Oil, gas, anything in the energy sector. The Defense Department. You know, the basics. But another great thing about Republicans having full power is really getting rid of a lot of regulations. I would love it if the environmentalists would just weep over the next 4 years about they no longer have a job. That would make me so happy if all those regulators, impact studies, and so forth, if let's say 90% of them went away, and the environmentalists and the activists just cry their heads off and go on food stamps. You want to build a factory there? Okay, let's take a look. Yeah, you might kill a few squirrels and chickens, or not chickens, quail, but they can move. Yeah, go ahead, green light. That's what our regulators should be like. Not, let's do a 6-month environmental impact study. Make sure that everything is okay. You want to dig how deep? 6 feet? You know how many worms you're going to kill. We need to find a place to relocate the worms so they are safe and secure. Like, this is, I'm exaggerating, of course, but this is the thinking. We need to, with Trump in power, we can actually now do things like, let's put up several more petroleum refineries. Because we've been drilling a lot already under the Biden administration. Part of the reason why people didn't like Biden, because he was a hypocrite on the environment. At least Trump's not a hypocrite. But we need more refineries to process the oil. Oh, Canada. If you're a Canadian and you're listening right now, guess what? I bet you that pipeline is going to open up from Alberta into the United States again. It's going to be great for both countries. And we now have the technology to make sort of like these smaller nuclear power plants. This will make the environmentalists happy again. We should put up like, I don't know, half a dozen, 12, maybe even 50. Put a nuclear power plant in every state. Clean energy. And we have the technology to safely dispose. In fact, Elon Musk can use one of his rockets. We'll put the fuel rods, depleted fuel rods in one of his rockets, blast it to Mars. No, he wants to occupy Mars. Blast it to Jupiter. Whatever. Can you imagine, like when Trump says things like, we can cut your electric bill, your gas bill, your fuel bill in half. If you start doing things like this, that's very achievable. Trump is coming for our fresh BC water, British Columbia water. Well, you know what? Another way the United States can even be bigger with its natural resources is just take over Canada. I bet you at least 40% of Canadians want the United States to take over Canada. We might need to bring the draft back. No, we don't need a draft to take over Canada. The state of Arizona can do it. Well, we don't even need the state. Well, North Dakota could take over Canada. But they got Grand Forks Air Force Base. Yeah. Take over. Canada's rich in water, uranium, potash, lumber. I don't know what we're going to do with the French, though. They're a real pain in the butt. Yeah, I think we should take over Canada. We should also take over Mexico. But I'm not sure we should keep it. I think we should take over Mexico, fix it up, flip it to China for a huge profit, pay off our debt. I'm just having fun now. Okay, let me talk about the bad side of Trump, the downside of Trump winning. The downside of Trump winning is there is some truth to the fact that if the economy heats up too much because of a Trump victory, inflation will come back. It's already here, of course, at 2.5%, 3%. It could go back up even higher. The question is, can it be offset with the decrease in energy prices? What you want to do is try to get inflation close to 2%. And another problem is, as I said earlier, we are paying $1 trillion a year in interest payments, and because of the lag effect, that $1 trillion, even if interest rates go down, the interest payments will go up because the Federal Reserve or the Treasury has sold bonds of various durations, 2, 5, 10 years. So the impact of lower interest rates is still, it's going to take time. So this is going to be a huge problem if you can't offset that with tax increases, which the Republican Party is historically not fond of. Then it's the expenditure side, which the Republican Party historically is very fond of. You're going to have to do something drastic, like maybe firing 80% of the federal workforce, maybe increasing like I'm a Republican, but I do see the writing on the wall with Social Security. We're going to have to grandfather in people to a higher age, tax higher, the tax limit, I think it's a $160,000 a year. After that, if you make more than that, you don't get Social Security taken off. That has to be unlimited. And then there maybe even has to be disqualification, like if you're a billionaire, yeah, and you don't collect Social Security. If your net worth's $100 million, no, you don't collect Social Security. Yeah, you paid in, but so what? See, I'm a Republican, and I admit you got to maybe do something like that to save Social Security. Even though Trump's promised not to touch it, but you have to touch it. You have to do something. Did you see all the stuff about how the Amish came out to vote for Trump? Yeah, I saw that. Actually, I thought the Amish already leaned red to begin with. Mennonites in Canada lean right, lean conservative. So I thought the Amish would be the same. But I saw in a friend's Facebook post today that there was a suicide helpline for trans people. Unbelievable. Like, I got to be careful what I say here, but who I am in my being, when I see stuff like that people are contemplating suicide because their political person didn't win, and that they have these worst case scenario fears, I just view you as batshit crazy. I mean, are people so weak that if they don't get their way on who's president, that they're going to off themselves? I understand it, but I don't understand. I understand that there's just so many mentally weak people in the world. And where fear-mongering really works. It must be difficult for them, says Sasha. Yeah, well, I can understand. I can empathize. I just do not sympathize. Do you understand the difference? Intellectually, I can understand why trans people are scared right now. But I have zero sympathy for them. Because I know what they think and what they believe and why they're scared. But there's nothing in my core being, zero, that sympathizes with that. Because I think they're irrational. I think they're crazy. And I think they were raised without a father. Probably. I mean, this is why fathers tease their daughters growing up, and their sons too. If you're a father listening, you know what I'm talking about. You tease your kids. The mother is more like, It'll be all white. It'll be all white, sweetie. It'll be all white. The father is more like, you're going to wear that? You look like blah, 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 blah. I think we evolved this way for a reason. We've been trained to socialize this way for a reason, to toughen our children up. So when they're adults and their favorite political candidate does not win, they don't have a mental breakdown. So when they're adults and they hear someone say, oh, if Trump wins, then you're going to be genocided. It all goes back to having a crappy father who didn't prepare them for life. Not only am I judging trans activists and trans people right now, I'm judging your parents. How do you console the left after a Trump victory? Asked the man. I don't. I've given tips on how they can be better in the future, but I have no desire to console them. Let them cry. Like, there is no need to even reach across the aisle because of these election results. It is the left that needs to convince the right at this point. The right doesn't need to convince the left. Presidency, Supreme Court, House, Senate, all right-leaning. Well, maybe the House not, but right now it looks like it is. The right doesn't have to do anything. The right doesn't have to concede anything. The right doesn't have to console anyone. And I would say they brought it upon themselves. The reason for this landslide blanket win of power is because of the utmost stupidity coming from the left. Feel sorry for them. The election results yesterday was the beginning of the death of feel sorry for ism. The beginning of the death of DEI, which is now DIE. Die. The left brought this upon themselves for years and years of demonizing their opponents, for calling them these names, for demanding to be respected and loved and give me my pronouns, and you're a bigot if you don't allow this person to compete, this man to compete against a woman. You're a xenophobe if you don't let people cross at a non-port of entry and claim asylum. People said, enough. We don't care about you anymore. We don't like you. Shut up. Let us run the country. Hank, haven't seen you in a while. Trump is to the left of Obama. Well, I can understand in some ways. At least he used to be. Like, Trump is very middle of the road when it comes to social issues like abortion. Trump's position on abortion is very reasonable. It's like, hey, try not to kill babies. And if you do kill a baby, make it sure it's to save another life, and maybe for rape and incest. But don't, after 15 weeks, don't kill a baby. Whereas if Harris was here right now and was forced to answer this question, 8-month pregnancy, woman wants to abort just because she wants to. It's her body, her choice, right? Do you support that? You can answer in one of two ways. Lean yes, lean no. I think Harris would say, yeah, I support a woman's right to choose even at 8 months. Forget about, oh, that never happens, that never happens. Shut up about that. Just answer that question. And in her heart of hearts, I don't know this for sure, I think she would answer, yeah. I'd support a woman's right to choose at 8 months, even if her health is not at risk, no incest, no rape. The majority of the American public would find that repulsive. Yet I think she believes that. Again, nobody's actually got a straight answer out of her. The closest was in the first debate, and then she just went, well, nobody actually, that never ever happens. But if it were to happen, in fact, it does happen. I did a short on it. Oh, thank you, Costa Kim Productions. Can you touch on the Imani Khalif video you posted? Yes. Oh, this is so much fun. It's so good to be right. About a year ago, well, no, there was the Olympics. This Imani Khalif person boxed at the Olympics and won gold. And I watched it, and I said, that person looks like a man to me. And guess what? A lot of other people thought the same thing. Some woke liberals say, oh, you can't tell. It's just blah, blah. Oh, forget about the woke left. It's irrelevant now. But I saw this as a man beating up a woman and winning gold medal. So I made a video, a live stream, and I gave my theory. I said, hey, this person probably has some mutation, disorder. Some people call it intersex, that caused him to be born without a penis, or a very tiny one, you know, like some people on the left. And so born in Algeria, a third world country, no penis, oh, that's a girl. Okay. And, but then goes through puberty, male pathway, male development. Everything about this person, Khalif Imani, looks male, Imani Khalif. High testosterone. Then, apparently, Imani Khalif was tested in 2023, and maybe even sooner than that, before the Olympics. And I find it very hard to believe that Imani Khalif didn't know the results of his test results, which showed, and it was leaked by I did some research on this person, a reputable French journalist who took a picture and saw it and published it, and that said, some disorder of a certain enzyme or hormone, which caused male development. Imani Khalif has testicles that's inside the body instead of out, a penis that basically looks like a big vagina, and I predicted all this. And it turns out, there's still a chance I'm wrong, but here's my challenge. I double dog dare woke leftists to double down against me on this. Really? You want to? You want to make a bet on this? And so what do you call it when someone gets tested, knows they're not female in the sense of chromosomes, gamete production, that sort of thing? No ovaries, no uterus in Imani Khalif. What do you call it when you know the truth and you say you're a woman? When you know you're not female? That's called trans, right? That's called self-ID, identifying as a woman, even though you know you're not biologically. Now you can say you're biologically intersex, but still you're not a real woman biologically. Not a female. So I made a short with Randy Travis saying, I told you so. And this is the problem. When you suffer from this disease called feel sorry forism, you want to believe, oh, poor Imani Khalif. How dare you imply that she is a man when she is a she? I mean, don't you understand the struggles that she must go through? Forget about the feel sorry forism. Again, take my advice. Say, I don't care. I don't care about her feelings. I don't care about it. Looks like a man. Test. Oh, is male. Has testicles. No ovaries. Okay. Not female. Don't compete in sports. Done. And let the trans activists cry for hours and hours and say it's unfair. Let them. Especially now after the election. Doesn't matter. Thanks for the donation, Infini Ryu. Given the laws in America, we terminate a child at 8 months if their parents are first cousins. Really? That's a law? Over 90% chance the kids will be fine. They can have it. Is that really a law? I know that can't be right. Oh, by the way, Amani Khalif's parents are reportedly related. Coincidence? I think not. But thanks for the donation. People don't realize the damage you can do to your kids if first cousins reproduce. Trust me. I know something about this. Not because I'm first cousins with my wife. My wife is Trinidadian background. I went way outside the genetic gene pool. But I have family. I have cousins whose parents are cousins. And it does not turn out well. It's a big problem. Probably a problem in the Mennonite community, the Amish community, the Muslim communities in the Middle East. Some people get upset about how America is so prosperous and wealthy and other countries are not. Well, maybe stop having sex with your cousin. Maybe that's a start. Although the UK seems like they could have sex with their sisters and cousins or whatever, and the monarchy still had power. I don't know how that worked. First cousins is considered incest? Really? Okay. Well, it's incest light. You got the full incest. And then if you want to just, be careful, go incest light. Less calories. Having sex with your cousin has less calories than having sex with your sister. My humor is worse than that comedian at that rally, Madison Square Garden. Did you know Puerto Rico has a real garbage problem? And that this comedian was so smart, he brought awareness to a real problem in Puerto Rico by making that joke and by offending woke leftists everywhere, but at the same time helping Puerto Rico become a better place? Brilliant. Brilliant, I say. You should stream more often. I probably would if you guys paid me to. But you'd have to pay me a lot. What's my going rate? $500 an hour. How long have I gone here? I have gone 2 hours. Yeah, I'm serious. If I've gone 2 hours, 9 minutes, if you gave me $1,000, in total donations, I'd probably do this more often. I'm not going to lie. I would probably do it more often. All my first cousin females are quite pretty homely, so I got that going for me. Well, I can understand the appeal of having coitus with your cousins because you know where you're coming from. Like, she knows what you like, and you want some borscht with coitus? That's a Mennonite joke. Oh, I'm bad. Trump's going to shut me down. for vulgarity. My apologies to President Trump and Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. They were scheduled to come on and discuss their landslide victory, but we ran out of time.